Hey folks, welcome back. My name is Krishna, and in this video it's all about the layers. We're going to start with basic layer concepts and work our way up to some more advanced techniques. So whether you're new to Photoshop or you have some experience with it, hopefully you're going to learn something new. And if you've got any layer tips and techniques that I haven't covered in this video, please share them in the comments below. So let's get right into it. I've got a blank canvas here, I've got a background layer, and the first tip is you never work on the background layer directly. That's because in this case, this background layer contains a white color. If I were to draw something on this background layer, and if I want to move that object, I cannot move it. In fact, I'll get this dialog box asking me if I want to convert the background layer into a normal layer. If I click OK, it turns into a normal layer, but I can't really move the line independently of that white background. So that's why you never work on the background layer directly. Instead, you want to make a new layer. Now you can make a new layer by clicking on this little plus icon here at the bottom to make a new layer, but I prefer keyboard shortcuts. If I hit the Shift Command N on a Mac, it presents the new layer dialog, and I can give the layer a name. I can also assign a layer color, so I can just say layer 1, and I can click OK. And what that does is it assigns a red color for that layer, and it also has named that layer as layer 1. Now if I draw that squiggle and I move that squiggle, I can move it independent of the background. So that's the first tip that I want to go ahead and give you. Never work on the background layer. All right, second tip is we want to look at the items that are on our layers in a clearer fashion. Right now, when you open a vanilla install of Photoshop, the default settings are, the thumbnails are really, really small. If I move underneath the background layer, right click and choose large thumbnails, I can see a physically larger thumbnail than what I had before, but it's still difficult for me to see the object that I've drawn. I mean, I can see it, but I have to really squint at it. A better solution in order to see only the object and not the object in the context of the entire canvas would be to right click and choose clip thumbnails to layer bounds. And right away you can see that it only shows me the object. And now I can move this object independently of what I have on my white background. Okay, let's talk about the next set of tips. So I'm moving on to another document here where I've got a turtle and a milk carton. I can label by double clicking on the text for a specific layer. I can just call this milk carton, and I can hit enter. And I've got this milk carton. Now, the way layers work in Photoshop is you've got, think of them as transparent sheets. And in this particular case, the milk carton layer is the top layer on the layer stack. If I zoom in to where the milk carton intersects with the turtle, you can see the red lines of the milk carton appear to be in front or above the turtle. If I were to take the turtle layer and simply drag it above the milk carton layer, you can see the black inks of the turtle are now in front of the milk carton. So this is how layers work. Whatever's on the topmost layer is going to cover up items that are on lower layers. And putting things on different layers is really advantageous because it allows me to manipulate objects independently to get the positioning just right. When I'm working with multiple characters or characters in environments and things of that nature, I like to have the flexibility of being able to move objects independently as I need to. There's nothing worse than drawing everything on one layer and then realizing that you have to move something after the fact. It becomes really messy. All right, so we've got that. Now, let's talk about layer visibility. So if I wanted to hide the turtle layer, I simply click on the eyeball. I think most folks know this. But what you may not know is that you can use the lock key to go ahead and lock a layer. And what that does is that prevents any kind of manipulation. You can't work on that layer. That layer is got a do not symbol. Basically, you can't work on that specific layer. And you may also see that do not symbol if I unlock the layer. If I simply click underneath the background layer, this is a common problem that I've seen where someone is new to Photoshop, they're trying to draw and they attempt to use the brush and they just see this do not symbol. If that is your issue, if you're running into that specific problem, it's because you need to first select a visible layer. So if I select the turtle layer, for example, Now the brush is active and I can draw what I want to. So you always want to make sure that you have a layer selected before you begin working on it. And sometimes in the state of working, you might find yourself in that quasi state where none of the layers are selected. So don't freak out. It's perfectly normal. All right, so we can drag layers in front or up and down. And one way that you can do that through keyboard shortcuts is if you use the Command right bracket key, you can move an object up on the layer stack. And similarly, Command left bracket key will move objects down on the layer stack. If you are dealing with, say, a file that has tons and tons of layers like I've got over here, let's say that I want to, for example, I'm going to reveal the pencils for this turtle drawing that I created. If I want to move that to the topmost layer stack, I could do that Command bracket trick, but that's going to take forever because I have to go one by one. If you want a faster way of moving objects up the layer stack, if you hold down Shift, Command, right bracket, it takes it right up to the top. If I use Shift, Command, left bracket, it moves it all the way to the bottom. So that's a quick way to move layers to the top or at the bottom, depending upon what you're trying to do with it. The other thing too is you can put your layers into groups. So in this particular case, for all of the turtle stuff, including the inks, I can shift select all of those layers, and you can see a little blue color indicates that those layers have been selected, and I can hit Command G, and that puts those layers into a group. So for organizational purposes, groups are great. I can then click on group 1, and I can type in turtles. And what this does is, it just, for organizational purposes, it just makes it easier for me to find certain things. Now, when you're working with layers, let's say I want to get to, I don't know, this red color here. I don't know what layer that's currently on, and I want to be able to quickly go to that specific layer. Now, I could manually look through all the layers and try to guess where it is, and in fact, it's on layer 22. But there's a better way, especially if you don't know what layer you're currently trying to get to. If you right-click where your cursor is close to where you want to go to, it shows you all the layers that are underneath where your cursor is. So in this case, yeah, there is still some guesswork, but now it's kind of limited my scope to just the layers that are underneath where my cursor is. So if I go to layer 22, you can see that it takes me all the way to layer 22 with no problems at all. So getting comfortable with the layer movement and manipulation is really the key to understanding how Photoshop works. Don't be intimidated by layers. Start simple. Start with just manually moving things around, and then as you get more advanced, you can start to use some of these keyboard shortcuts. If you find value in this video, please give it a thumbs up so other folks can find it. I do appreciate all the comments and feedback. That is really also helping the videos get found by more intermediate digital artists. If you've got a topic that you would like me to consider for an upcoming video, please let me know. Be specific as possible so that way I can formulate a lesson plan and I can share that with you. As always, thanks for watching the videos. Your support means the world to me. I appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one.